Welcome back to the farm. We just finished up Crow and Ken's visit. It was a very good visit. The next couple of days are going to be rough because it's always the couple of days before somebody comes to visit and the couple of days after are always kind of tough as I get ready to lose my isolation and then have to get used to it again. So I have planned lots of stuff to do to keep me busy over the next couple of days, and some of it's already started. Today is August 1st, which is the holiday of Lammas, which is the first harvest. It's often called a grain harvest. The first fruits that we start to bring in from the field. So that's our zucchinis, our tomatoes, the cucumbers, all of that sort of thing, and grain. So it's a big bread holiday. So I've already started celebrating. I made zucchini bread for myself and the kids to take home with them. I've got cornmeal yeast bread in the oven right now. And now I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon making bread and butter pickles and packaging up for the freezer a bunch of grated zucchini so I can make more zucchini bread as time goes on. So why don't you come with me to the kitchen? It's a good day to be in the kitchen because my house is a lot cooler than outside, and it's 85 degrees and 80% humidity, so it's pretty stifling out here. So I'm going to be glad to be in the house with the ceiling fans and the 10 to 15 degree cooler temperature. So let's go on inside. All right, well, that's at least all the initial steps done. And as you can see, it's very humid, so I'm very hot. I've got the zucchini. I'm just going to let that drain for half an hour just to get some of that extra moisture out. And then I'll lay it out on cookie sheets to freeze. What else? I struggled with whether or not to peel the zucchini or not. Some places I've seen to peel it, some places I see don't. I don't want to because I think so many of the vitamins are in the skin, but it kept getting bogged down in the shredder, so I was getting just strips of skin and it wasn't chopping up right. So those went to the chickens. The chickens are very happy. They're hot too, so I need to go out and get them more water. So I'm just going to take a break from all of this for a little bit, and when I come back, we'll work on the brine for those pickles and getting this zucchini all packed up. how even though I put it on moist and gentle, it still sucked all the liquid up to the top and didn't seal. And it feels very dry, but it's not dry enough. So I'm going to put this away. Ooh. I don't know how well you can see all the liquid in there. My one beef with this Nesco sealer is I can't figure out how to lift this tray out to empty it out, so I just gotta go in with paper towels. Go back to the original plan, which is to stack it up in 1 cup sections and then freeze it, and then we can package it. Are silicone baking cups, so they turn inside out really easily. So I like to do like breakfast quiches in this, or if I do a batch of meatloaf, I'll put those in here, and then each one is a meal. It's great for portion control, and hopefully it's going to be great for freezing zucchini. Because I'm out of cookie sheets. Oh, perfect. All right, so we'll let those freeze overnight, and then we'll try again with the vacuum sealing tomorrow. I think I'm going to do 2 of those in a bag because it's about 2 cups per zucchini bread. If I'm going to use it in soups or anything, I can just save part of it and do something else with it. I'm also going to save slices. I'm going to freeze slices on a cookie sheet and bag those up. And those, you can't eat them the same way you can in the summer. I can't saute them with onions and eat them that way because they're just going to turn to mush. But they'll be great for throwing into soups, into quiches, into, I don't know, what else can you think of? Stir fries, anything like that, they'll be really good for. And I'll freeze those in 1 cup servings, so that it'll take up, or it'll be smaller for cooking in any of those recipes. So that's that for the zucchini. I'm gonna give the pickles a little bit more time, and then I need to start making the brine for those. And I'm gonna actually transcribe the recipe so it's easier for me to read. One of the things that I lost in the fire, I managed to save all of my essential cookbooks, But for some reason, the one thing that I did not grab was my binder of my recipe collection. Things that I've gotten from either of my parents, from friends, from the internet, that I've tried and liked and used quite a bit. I don't know what I was thinking that I didn't grab this binder. It's not like it was hard to see. It was a big, thick, pink binder. But I didn't get it. So now every time I want to make something like this, I have to message my mom and say, Mom, can you send me the recipe? And she takes a picture of the recipe card and sends it to me, which is great, except when I'm filming videos and I need to be referencing my phone, and it's a whole thing. So I'm gonna get that transcribed onto a recipe card, and then we'll get to work on that brine. There we go. Those 8 pounds of cucumbers made 7 1/3 pint of pickles. If these seal, I am really going to be in love with this new canner. It came up to heat so much faster. I mean, it's still hot because it's, you know, it's steam, so there's steam coming out into the room, but it's not anywhere near as bad as if you're doing that entire big vat, and the temperature will drop back down faster. And it was just a lot easier putting the jars in and out. I didn't burn my hands splashing any water this time. So I really like the premise of this canner, and I'll let you know tomorrow how many of these sealed, hopefully all of them, and then I have a new canning method. And that kind of, I've run out of steam. My feet hurt. I've got nothing left in the tank. So I'm going to make myself a nice little holiday dinner with bread and squash out of my garden, bread that I've made, burgers that I put up, and tomato jam that I made myself last year. So it's a real celebration of abundance and what we're able to do here on one property. Thank you very much for coming along on this unusual day. I hope you have a wonderful run up to fall or dog days of summer, and I hope you'll come back and see what we get up to tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Morning. I'm very sorry for missing yesterday. Yesterday ended up just being a total non-productive day. Starting at about 2 o'clock, we had a ton of rain, but even in the morning, I didn't have the energy to really do much. I am pleased to report that the canning experiment was successful. All 7 of those jars sealed beautifully, so I'm very excited that I'm going to be able to use the steam canner. I feel like you don't need a steam canner today. It's not terribly hot, but it is incredibly humid. My glasses are steaming up even as I'm talking to you. But I had big plans for today, most of which didn't involve the homestead. I had an appointment for a tattoo at noon, and then I was going to go to the animal auction at the fair, and I don't know, maybe get a pig for processing. I don't know. But I woke up and found a message at 3:45 this morning from my tattoo artist that she's getting over a really bad cold and needs to reschedule, which threw off all of my plans for the day. And I just kind of laid in bed trying to figure out what I was going to do. So what I decided to do was a project that I've been putting off both for a long time and that I started preparing last week, which is planting my chestnut trees. I don't know how well you can see them back there. Kind of behind the amaranth there. Oh, there you are. I bought those last fall, like a week or two after I moved in, and put them here for this to serve as a nursery bed for them to get through the winter, because I knew I wasn't going to be able. I could have planted them. I couldn't have planted them. I was so busy with the move, I couldn't have planted anything. Theoretically, I could have planted those in the fall, but they wouldn't have had enough time to get their roots established. So, or I was concerned because that was late November. I think putting stuff in September, October is probably fine, but that late I would have worried about them surviving. I also have a couple that I got the chestnuts for back when I lived in Pennsylvania. And I put them in a plastic Tupperware in my fridge back there because chestnuts need cold to sprout. So you keep them in the fridge all winter and then you plant them out in the spring and theoretically they'll sprout. So I had these planted out and I put them out to get rained on in late May and completely forgot about them. They got lost in the gout weed and out of sight, out of mind. Well, I was over there mowing a couple of weeks ago, I guess 3 weeks ago now, and I saw that 2 of them had actually sprouted. So I've got those to go in. I've got these 5 here. I've got the cardboard, I've got the compost, so let's go plant some trees. just one problem. My friend Deb likes it when I admit when I screwed up, and I screwed up. These are nut chestnuts. These are hazelnuts. These I want going along the creek, headed down to the lower pasture. So I guess I'm going to be doing more tree planting than I thought today. So we're going to go back up. We're going to pick up all the cardboard that blew off the wagon as I was driving across the field. We're going to try and find the actual chestnuts to bring back and put in here, and get a little more compost to top off the cardboard, and a little more compost, and then get the mulch to do the ones that we did already. So fingers crossed I can find those chestnuts, because I know I was having problems finding them before. For a minute there, I thought I was losing my marbles, because I went to dig these out, and I looked at the very handy little tag that was on these, and it said 3 English walnuts. And I'm like, I don't remember ordering walnuts, but I guess I ordered walnuts. I guess I didn't order chestnuts. Well, it turns out I screwed up when I put these in the nursery bed. So I've got 4 English walnut trees and 3 chestnut trees. So I have both. So I think what I'm going to do, I dug 4 holes, so I'm going to alternate these in those holes. And then I got to figure out where to put 1 more chestnut tree and 2 more walnut trees. The challenge with walnut trees is that they produce a compound called juglone. And juglone helps the walnut tree fight off any other plants trying to grow in the area, which is great for the walnut tree, but is not so great if you're trying to grow it near anything else, or if you're trying to grow it in a guild. Now, there are some plants that don't have an issue with juglone. Blackberries are fine with juglone. Grass crops, grains, corn are all fine with juglone. Root crops are fine with juglone. Things that aren't great with juglone are most of your produce, any of your above ground produce. Lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, squash, all of those, they do not like the juglone. Actually, the squash might be okay. I'll have to look that up. We had a big black walnut tree in our backyard back in Pennsylvania, which was miserable because the roots spread out over half the backyard where I wanted to have my garden. So I never, until I started doing raised beds, I really struggled with growing anything. And even then, the roots would creep up into the raised beds and poison the raised beds. So I'm happy to have the walnuts, but I'm also going to be very careful about where I plant it. But up on that edge is going to be fine. And actually, I might plant I might plant the other ones along the road, but far enough back that they're not going to interfere with the wires when they get up to size. But for now, let's get these out there, get these in the ground, and then I got to figure out what I'm going to do with those hazel trees. so there's the lane planted. In 20 years, this is all going to be lovely and shaded and probably just starting to produce nuts. But that's okay. That's part of regenerative agriculture, is you're not planting for you, you're planting for the land and for the future. Now I've got these 2 trees left, and thinking about the future, I'm thinking I'm going to plant them down along the pond. This big pine tree is beautiful, but it's already started breaking because of its size and its age. And it would be nice to have something already started by the time it gives up completely. So I think I'm gonna plant those 2 trees down along there, but I'm not gonna do it right now because it is noon and it is stinking hot. So I'll put these in a bucket of water along with the hazels and do it either tonight or tomorrow morning. One other thing I wanted to show you before I give up for the afternoon is this is the front orchard, and take a look at how big those squash are getting. Now granted, you can see the critters have found it, so I don't necessarily expect them to last long, but it's fun to see. Next year, I will have fairly large fences around all of these. In fact, I'm going to put some around them by fall to keep the deer off them over the winter. So hopefully that'll give, you can see these buds that are just trying to put out leaves. So hopefully if they get a winter's break from the deer, then come spring, they'll be more able to start putting out new branches and we'll get some new growth on them. All of these trees are going to take some protection over at least this winter and probably the next couple of winters. Those trees that I just put in, I put the plastic mesh around them, but I'm also going to put welded wire fences around them. And I think I'm going to do the bottom in hardware cloth to keep the voles off, because the voles will dig under that mulch and eat at the bark and the roots, and they'll just kind of hide under the mulch. So if I can put that welded wire down to at least try and keep them off the bark, then that should give those trees a little more of a chance. All right, let's look at some more of these squash and then I'm getting it out of the sun.